All right, y'all. So it's Keith Raider. I'm back in the mix, and yeah, the Raiders just won. That's great. I got some things to talk about that I seen that we got some good things to talk about, and then we got some stuff where it's like, all right, man, we gonna have to fix this. And I know it's the first week, but you know, definitely some glaring things. But, first off, I gotta say is we got to beat Josh McDaniels Patriots. I know it's Mike Vrabel Patriots, but Josh McDaniel Patriots. We got to pretty much whoop on them, and that's great because Josh McDaniels kind of the reason why we are where we are right now. We took some steps back, but now it look like we're back on track with Pete Carroll and Spy Tech and just some of the moves that they making. So yeah, it's great to beat his team. Also, it was a East Coast game, early morning game, and like y'all, if you're a Raiders fan, these games been pretty much killing us since for a long time, like the LA Raiders, you know what I'm saying, were like teams that were good on them games, but and maybe the John Gruden first era, but outside of that, we've always had like an issue going to the East Coast and playing these teams. And so it was good to see them actually win that game. Now, I got a bunch of things to talk about. So I'm gonna just start off with the offense. The offense, overall, our offense looked pretty good. So you would like the O-line run blocking to be a little better. Ashton Genty had 18 carries, 35 yards on averaging 1.9. Like we gotta work on that, and then we gotta get better with that because this time we didn't really need the run game, but you see, like when Geno get to. Oh, sorry, they playing music. But when Geno gets to playing, so free, he start to make a turnover or two. So you really don't want him to have to get so saucy to where he, making mistakes. But yeah, we work on that O-line. I think this, like I've always said, I've always had a lot of like I always knew the offense was going to be good, even in the preseason. And I first started making the videos this year. I was like, okay, it looks like the offense might be the strong suit on this team. Like it has the most power on this team. Now the defense, on the other hand, which I'm gonna get into a little bit later, is another thing that is some questions there. But yeah, overall, offense was amazing. Look at Geno's stat line. He had 25 for 35, which is crazy. At one point, he only, it was like 25. I think it was like 20 for 25, 280 yards. Like his stat line was crazy. The only thing is like cleaning up those interceptions with one interception, but just not making too many mistakes. But at 366 yards, come on. Like we ain't had this type of quarterback play since Derek Carr. And he kind of remind me of like a Derek Carr, like where he stands in the league right now. The ability he can make all the throws. But the one thing about him that's a little bit different from Derek he will run out of the pocket and make something happen. And so that's one thing that he got over Derek. And I mean, sometimes when he throw it, it didn't seem like it was gonna get there, but it got there, you know. So hey, I'm so happy for Geno, and I'm happy he was able to prove, like, even with the run game not being the best, he still made it happen. And for people who say that the Raiders don't have no weapons, I hope this game kind of showed people that they actually do have weapons. So let's go back. Let's go to the receiving yard. So Brock Bowers had a game. He got hurt, and so I hope he not like hurt like it's a serious injury. We know football is gonna be some type of injuries happening, but we don't want him to be missing games. And so I hope. Well, I'm gonna look to see if see what happens with that, and I'm gonna post and talk about Brock Bowers, how whatever, because we need Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is what makes this offense go. Ashton Genty will eventually be a Brock Bowers type player, but we still got to fix the whole line. But Brock Bowers had 5 receptions, 103 yards, averaging 20 yards per catch. Come on. Like, okay, it's one thing before. I'm going to go through the stat lines, but we got to go back to Geno and what he's doing. Okay, Jacoby Myers, he had 8 receptions, 97 yards on 12. He averaged 12 yards per catch. Trey Tucker had 254, 20s on averaging 27 yards per catch, and he had a TD. Dante Thornton had 2 catches, 45 yards for 22. He averaged 22 yards per catch. Michael Mayer even got in the game. He had 4 catches for 38, averaging 9 yards per catch, which ain't crazy compared to these other receivers. Even Josh Beck came to the party. He got a catch for 23. And so, like, when you look at the averages, like, I don't even, like, the yards is going to come, right? But look at the averages for all these receivers. I know all the receivers are happy that Geno Smith is there because they all eating. Like, Tucker, he's been here with us for, I think it's been about 4 years now, and he hasn't been able to have a quarterback that could really get him the ball outside of Derek, right? But when Trey Tucker came here, he still was a rookie. I mean, when him and Derek Carr was here with each other, he was still a rookie, and so he didn't really get the opportunity to really play. Now he's becoming a veteran. He's been here, and so now he actually has a quarterback that can throw him the ball and put it where he needs it to be successful. So all our receivers literally had a good game. Like, if this is how the stat line is going to look throughout the season for the Raiders, our receive, we might have one of the best, like, this might be one of the best years for our receivers, just because Geno Smith, he's not scared to throw it to him, and he's getting it in places that even Derek Carr wasn't doing with some of his players. Like, I don't know if Derek ever had like he had like crazy games with a lot of yards, but look at it. He got Brock Bowers over 100 yards. Jacoby Myers just barely under 100 yards. That's 2 100 yards receivers, right? Basically. And then you got Trey Tucker, Dante, and Mike. Like, and then you got a tight end who did some in I get it, it's 38 yards, right? But when you look at the game, I know Mayer is excited because it feels like he's a part of the system, and some of that you gotta give to Chip Kelly too, because they spreading that ball around, and I think as long as they doing that, it's going to be hard to cover this offense, especially on throwing downs. All right, so that's the good about the offense. Like, shout out Geno Smith, shout out the receivers, shout out the tight ends. All y'all did amazing. Now let's go to the O line. Okay, the O line kind of did okay, let's look at it. The O line gave up 3.5 sacks. And if I look at it, they probably caused that Geno interception. But yeah, like, our O line gotta figure it out. I see Colton doing this thing, but Colton and Powers are pretty much the premier players on that line, and I wonder if putting Meredith at center is kind of throwing Powers off a little bit. And I get Powers, he a good player, he could play guard or center, but it kind of felt like Powers was married to the center position. And when he was a center, he was doing, a lot of good stuff for the team. Now, I really got to look at the film to really, see what's the issue with our running game specifically. But the running game is not working. And, it's going to be some fair weather fans who going to point at Genty, but it's definitely not a Genty issue. If every time you running and Genty has to create something, that's not a Genty issue. Or like when every time you run it, it's a defender in his face. That's not a Genty issue. That's more of a O-line issue. And we know that Genty has the skill to be a great running back. But if we gotta help him out a little bit, it ain't gotta be what I seen with the Chargers. Because the Chargers, they O-line is immaculate, right? It don't gotta be like that. But just make sure defender's not in his face when he get the ball. Like, that's the only issue I really got with the O-line, right? And once they fix that, I think we will see more good things come out of Genty, and that will also fuel the offense just that more, right? Because if Genty get going with this type of play with the receivers, that offense is unstoppable, because they not going to be able to stack the box. And if they do, it's like, okay, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, Trey Tucker, Dante Thornton, Josh Beck, Mayer, that's too many pieces for a defense. Your average defense and it is not going to be able to cover all those players. So just keep that in mind. One thing that I seen about Jacoby Myers, he came out with no gloves. He's the only person on the field without gloves. That's a statement. Jacoby Myers is saying, like, my hands are so good that y'all need to pay me. Hey, and I'm not mad at him, though. He got some hands, and for him to not have gloves really shows how much confidence he has in himself and in his ability to be able to grab the ball out of the air. And I really mess with the fact that he ain't got no gloves, because if you ever played with these new age gloves, it's low key like stick 'em. It's basically stick 'em on your hands. And so just seeing him out there like that at me as a person who I'm a lineman, but my whole life I've always loved like receivers, and when I've played football, I've always loved to catch, right? And so I've never worn gloves. I've always been like, I like bare hand catching. And so to see him in the NFL in today's game with no gloves had me excited. Like, I was like, ooh, Jacoby Myers, no gloves? Like, and I think he only dropped one pass. And, last year he ain't dropped no passes. But, this year he dropped the pass, but the pass wasn't even like, it was kind of like a bad ball, in my opinion. But, like, to see Jacoby Myers with that mindset, that just lets you know that dude is a dog. And maybe they should pay him. He ain't got no gloves on, y'all. In the NFL, where it's basically legal for you to wear stickum on your hands. And he went out there and didn't do it. And he had 8 catches, 97 yards. That's our ex-receiver. This is Bauer's offense now, but Jacoby is the ex. So yeah, I was just seeing the offense work. All right, so now let's go to the defense. See, the defense, it kind of surprised me because when I was looking at the depth chart of the Patriots, I was kind of spooked. I was kind of scared because I'm like, damn, man. They got Diggs. They got Stevenson. Like, all these players, like, I'm looking at these players and I thought they may be able to do something. And our defense low-key handled them. And okay, so in the secondary, right, which I already knew this, like, I was scared of the defense overall, but if you go back to my last video when I was talking about it, you will hear me say the safety's going to be cool. Our safeties are going to be good. Where I'm scared at is the cornerbacks. The cornerbacks held their own today because the defensive line showed up. But I always had faith in the safeties. And of course, Max Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz. But Tyree showed up, which had me excited for the rest of the season. But let me go back to Polamalu. Polamalu, outside of, Crosby, Kuntz, and Tyree, Polamalu was probably the best player in the back seven. So that's like including the linebackers, the safeties, the corners. Polamalu was probably the star of the defense because he was hitting, like, he got an interception. Once he got the interception, you could tell, like, Polamalu was really, like, feeling himself. Like, that energy was oozing out of his jersey. Like, you could really tell he was juiced. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's real dope to see him really stepping up because he's probably the, outside of Malcolm, Adam Butler, Kuntz, I said Kuntz, Tyreek, like, you know what I'm saying? He's one of the only players that really know this defense outside of a lot of the other players that we got on the team. So it's good to see him feeling comfortable in the system. And so, a lot of people going to say Patrick Graham defense is not this or that, right? But when you got new players coming in and you're not keeping a consistent team on that defense, it makes it hard because these new players are learning the system while so it's just gonna make it hard for Patrick Graham, like, to build continuity within the players. So our D line, they cool because they all been here. But our secondary, we got some new players the linebackers, they new players, all that adds up. So, yeah, my hat's off to him. All right, so let me look at the stats. So look, Malcolm Kuntz got a sack, Tyree Wilson got a sack, Max Crosby got a sack. But right with Max Crosby, he could have basically had two. On the play where Polamalu got the interception, Crosby pretty much caused that because he hit Drake May, and Drake May threw the ball like he kind of threw a bad ball after that, and Polamalu just snuffed it out. So that was like a tag team play right there, and so that could have been 2 sacks for Max Crosby. Max Crosby is looking like a animal, and then he almost got like a forced fumble. So he was on Drake May back. And then also Malcolm Kuntz. Like once it got to like the fourth quarter, you start seeing Malcolm Kuntz wake up. And that's what you need with this team. Like Max Crosby is like a superhuman. Like he low key like the closest thing to a superhero in real life. But he's still human, right? And he needs somebody else to show up. Like, I'm honestly, like, wondering, like, what if we still had Wilkins? Because with how Tyree played, how even Adam Butler, he was stuffing some stuff and filling in gaps. You don't really expect him to be, like, getting a lot of sacks, but as long as he doing what he need to do on that line, like, you know, getting double teams and stuff like that, we good. Like, this D-line look good, you know, and I get it. The Patriots is not really, from the looks of it, they not really like a great team. They're a good team. They got pieces. The defense is good. But we was able to go in there and I wouldn't say dominate, but we controlled the game, which is, I'm still up in the air about the defense. But if the D-line is playing like how they played, it makes it a lot easier for the young secondary, for the older safeties, for the older linebackers, right? So it's a lot to actually be excited for. So I said if the Raiders win by 10 to 14 points, that would show me that the Raiders is in the right direction. I still think the Raiders are in the right direction. It was so the final was 20 to 13, which is 7 points, right? That's not bad, right? That's not bad at all because our run game wasn't doing anything. If the run game was actually working, I think we could have put up 27 points because we did leave some points on the floor. We left a lot of points on the floor, actually. And so, yeah, they didn't dominate them, but they controlled it, which is still good. I think when we go against the Chargers, we gonna get to see how that play out. And so the defense gonna have to. We gonna need Max Crosby. We gonna need Tyree. We gonna need Kuntz to really like shake up the game. And if they could average a sack a piece a game and still kind of be disruptive, that's good for us. That's great for us, actually. You know, that'd be great if we could get. I think Kuntz and Max Crosby probably average like a half a sack a game, right? But if we could get Tyree getting in there too, whew, plus the disruption that they had, man, we gonna be good because going against The Chargers is going to be a little harder for us because they got the bookend tackles, right? So the inside of the line will have to be the people that really turn up. So Adam Butler, we going to need Butler next week. And, I mean, I think they probably going to do some stunts to get off of, to kind of like disengage off of the tackles, right? So yeah, man, it was a great game. I think, it's the first game of the season, but the fact that we came out on top with the odds, with a offensive coordinator that knew our defense, with a going East Coast early game, we were able to control the game. That's good. What else I got to say before I hop off of here? Oh yeah, man, fuck Josh McDaniels, man. I'm gonna say that one more time. If my channel not monetized, so it don't matter. I'm gonna say whatever I want. Yeah, man, it was good to get that win. And shoot, man, Keith Rader out, man. I hope y'all have a good Sunday. Yeah, man, I'm gone.